Hello, this is Rebirth Legend here with another replay analysis. Well, I guess it's a replay analysis. It's going to be a general question we're looking at here. So,
Stands ready.
in this game, what I want to actually talk about is when to hold creepy equilibrium and when to break it. So, this is in response to a post I just read. This game isn't particularly great, but the dynamics at play cover both when you should hold it and when you shouldn't. So let's look at my player perspective. I'll be playing as Sven. Sven's a hero who can easily farm out. Okay, we need to slow this the fuck down. So there's a few reasons why you should hold the creepy equilibrium. So we're going to look at the first one here, and this is why you should hold it. So what the Lion did here is actually pretty good. So when people get off good blocks, what they'll do is this Necro should aim to get his range creep through. That way my creeps kill his range creep and it forces it back. What the Lion did here is he ran out. Okay, this is so annoying. You see the Lion's going to run out here to try and absorb the range creep. Because if the range creep hits him first, it'll realign back up with the melees. So that's why he ran out there for that. Because if I failed my block and my range creep did not go forward, and his range creep did go forward, then the lane would naturally push in his direction, and it would be very hard to control it at that point, apart from a side pull from here. Even a side pull, a stack pull from here might do it too. But let's say he warded that camp first, and then did that, you'd be in real trouble. So this is an offlane Necrophos. This is a really good example of a hero that's extremely hard for him to play in a lane that's good at aggressing against him. I have a stun. Lion obviously has a stun, and Lion has a good ability to harass him. So right now I want to hold the equilibrium. So I'm level 2. I'm actually holding my skill points. I could level Stormhammer and Warcry, but generally there's going to be a point in this lane where I'm going to want to push it out really hard and then start jungling as well. So I mix in jungling with my lane farming. And that does usually allow the offlaner to get some experience. But there's situations where that's okay, and I'll get into that a little later as well. So like notice here, I'm making sure I get every last hit, and I'm autoing these down. I don't necessarily care about getting the denies. I need these creeps to die as quickly as possible. Denies only matter when the offlaner's in range. He's jungling here, which is very inefficient for him. So he's jungling here, but my Lion's still getting experience by pulling, letting me creep under tower. So I misskilled that. I did not want to have 2 points in that. Just kind of awkward. So the reason about skilling is because my Great Cleave is something I want to have maxed by level 7 generally. And if I skill it here, it's going to automatically push the creep wave. Because every last hit I go for is going to cleave every other creep. So right here again, he's going to come in this area. The Lion should wrap around, see him, and he's going to chase him out of lane again. See, the Lion stuns him, mana drains him, auto attacks him once, sends him right away. And notice I'm still holding the equilibrium. So the point of this is like when you're in a lane where you're able to successfully zone. So let's say if you're in a 3v2 or 2v1. In this case, we're in a 2v1. I have a strong laner and a Lion who's able to hold the comparably very weak offlaner at bay and keep him out of experience range. So he's level 3. Now what level am I? I'm level almost 5. My Lion's level 3. So he's on the same level as my Lion while I'm level 5. That's excellent. And he's put 0 pressure on me. I've used 1 or 2 tangos. I might have given him mid tangos. I don't remember. The point is I haven't used a lot of regen at all. Now there's going to be a point where the equilibrium is going to be very hard to hold, or where the Lion won't be able to zone him anymore if he gets some more levels, or the Lion just wants to rotate. And once the Lion starts rotating around and leaves, which as soon as I level the cleave, I'm likely going to tell him to leave the lane. As soon as he leaves the lane, this guy's going to be able to come up at his own will. And when he's able to just walk up and get his experience, I have no incentive to hold this here anymore. Because when you hold the creep wave here, they don't necessarily need to worry about, look at this tower, it has full HP. The reason it has this is because we've been holding equilibrium. So if he's able to walk up and like free, I kind of like jumped off there, sorry about that. If he's able to just walk up and get free experience, then there's no incentive for me to hold lane anymore because it's not actually stopping him from doing anything. The only other reason to hold lane equilibrium could be if you're scared of rotations from like I don't know, like let's say like a quap or something. Like you don't want to be farming right here if there's like a quap is going to blink onto you. But realistically that situation is I wouldn't even say it's really worth considering. The only time where you'd want to hold equilibrium for the sake of safety is if you're super far behind and, like, you're scared to walk. Like, let's say they take out your tier 1. They have a really heavy roaming lineup with, like, a Spirit Breaker and, like, a Riki or something. And you're, like, an anti-mage. And you just really need to get your Vanguard or Battlefield or your Manta or whatever the hell. Well, if you have your Battlefield, you should never be doing this, but hypothetically, it could be okay to hold a creep wave, like, right here in relative safety if they literally control your whole woods. But in that situation, usually you can go off lane too and then just try and farm aggressively. It's probably a better option. But hypothetically, you could hold it here for safety. In the first 10 minutes, you're generally never holding creep equilibrium for safety. You're holding it to zone out the offlaner. So I think the Lion's going to pull, like, one more time, and I think he leaves pretty soon. So another situation we'll talk about while we're waiting for that to happen is, like, let's say there's no offlaner. Or the offlaner completely abandoned. Let's say this guy just abandoned. He's like, fuck, I'm going to go safe lane, I'm going to go roam around, I'm going to do whatever. Let's say it's a Clockwork who hits, like, 6 or something, and then he just wants to leave the lane. You need to punish them for leaving the lane. Yeah, we screwed up there a little bit. So now he's getting this. So I level, as soon as the creep wave I see getting to him, I start leveling my cleave. Because I'm not going to stop him getting experience. He's got some good levels. I'll probably tell the Lion to leave about now. And I'm going to max my cleave so I can farm out the jungle and the lane at the same time. But anyway, if the offlaner abandons, the worst thing you can do is just hold the creep equilibrium here. Because no one's even attempting to get experience. No one's even there for you to zone out. Like, let's say it's like an axe. Instead of sitting in lane, because let's say you have like a Shadow Shaman, like you're a Shadow Shaman, a Gyro, and a Lion or whatever. Like, the axe just says, fuck that lane, I'm going to get murdered if I walk into it, so I'm just not going to go into it, and the axe is just hard jungling. So their offlaner is transitioned into a hard jungle position, doesn't even show up to the lane at all. In that situation, you want to be constantly pushing the creep wave to put pressure on their tower. So their tower will start taking some chip damage, and that also gives you the opportunity to maximize your farm by farming these camps. And you want to force the enemy to respond, because if you're just, let's say if you're passively farming in this area for from 10 minutes on, let's say you're from the 10 to 18 minute mark, you're just sitting right here. Not only are you losing potential creeps from this area, but you're also not putting any pressure forcing the enemy team to come back to top lane, which means your entire team is dealing with a 4-on-5, where you have your 4 heroes, their offlaner, and their supports, and all their cores could be potentially fighting your 4 heroes, and you're not getting anything for that. See, their offlaner abandoned here. If I just continued holding right here, that tower would still be up and still at full HP, which means even if let's say their offlaners do come back, or someone comes to this lane every time you push it to the tower, it doesn't matter, because you're opening that space up for your team by forcing a response. It's fine for you because you're still able to jungle those camps, and the tower is getting some chips. So even if every time you push it, they rotate someone and the tower only takes a little bit of damage, eventually when you do go to kill that tower, it'll have that much less HP. So even if you remove over 10 minutes, you remove 500 HP, now this tower only has 800 HP when you eventually want to go kill it. And that can be a huge difference when it comes to, like, getting those fights. Imagine if you're against a Tinker. Every bit of damage you can do before the Tinker is big and can respond and has his travels up, every bit of damage you can do before that is huge, because it costs them it costs him time in which he can defend it. Because if that's at 800 HP, it takes you way less time to kill than if it's at 1300 HP. And getting rid of towers in situations like that are very, very important. So now, since this tower is dead, I start farming the woods too. So here, like, you'd see some people might try and static farm right here. That's horribly inefficient. You can just farm out the whole woods and push that. So I'll try and, when it's reasonable, I'll try and push this all the way in to maybe like here. And then maybe I'll farm this camp and work my way back into the woods or something. But that's getting into farming rotations. I think we kind of covered the major areas of when you want to hold a creep wave. So pretty much there's 2 reasons to hold a creep wave in place and maintain the equilibrium. One is in the first 10 minutes when you want to zone out an offlaner. I say 10 minutes because after 10 minutes is about when the laning phase breaks down. Support should be rotating around. Team fights and skirmishes should be breaking out in each other's woods. But about the first 10 minutes, if you can successfully zone their offlaner, then you should be maintaining creep equilibrium. So in this case, the Necro was able to get kept at a very low level. He's even behind our Lion, which is a 5-position support in this game. So we were able to do that successfully. Hypothetically, let's say that was like an off-lane Dragonite or something. But the Lion can't zone him because he's got so much regen. Or just think of any off-laner who meets that criteria. They have a lot of regen. Then in that situation, even from minute 2, I'll be leveling my Great Cleave. Or even for the first minute mark, I might be leveling my Great Cleave. Or if it's a Timbersaw, that's a great example. Timbersaw's just gonna max his passive in like a 1v2 lane and just sit there, and he'll take all your auto attacks and won't give a shit. So in that situation, I'll just max my cleave in a lane like that, and I'll harass him with cleave, and I'll push the lane out, and then I'll farm the woods. Because if that hero is, if you're not preventing the hero from getting experience, then you need to be pushing the creep wave out, and then trying to farm the woods or put pressure on the tower. Because if you let the lane just sit here and you're trying to maintain equilibrium with the offlaner, you're getting the same amount as them. And your goal is to get more than an offlaner and more than their safe laner. And your goal as a carry should always be to get as much as you possibly can within reason. Sometimes it's more valuable to, like, let's say if I have the ability to zone out a Timbersaw, yeah, I'd value zoning out a Timbersaw for the first 5 or 6 minutes of a game way higher than I would getting jungle and lane creeps for 5 or 6 minutes, because I do not want an overlevel Timbersaw up my ass. So that's the stuff you have to like weigh and decide what the value is. See, like now, since I pushed that really hard, they're forced to rotate here. 2 of them come, I leave, and I go safely back to farming my woods. And right now I have 100 creeps at 11 minutes, which is about what you'd expect if you're utilizing a farming pattern that employs farming your hard and easy camp as well as the lane every minute. So we'll do it. I kind of keep getting distracted, but for a quick recap, the only time you want to hold equilibrium is to zone out an enemy offlaner. That is pretty much it. The only other very, very, very niche time is when the game itself is very dangerous and you want to static farm near like your tower. And that's only going to be until like the 12 to 20 minute mark. If you're a hero that needs an item, like let's say you're AM who needs a Battle Fury or something, that's probably one of the only situations where it comes up, because many other heroes can just group with their team and then get kills that way, and there's no real reason to sit static farming a lane, but an AM just needs his farm, so that's probably the only reason that'd be good. Even in those situations, I generally push a lane and then try and farm the woods to create more space for my team and get more farm. Because if you're that far behind where you feel the need to static lane here, then you need to... static laning is also another term for maintaining creep equilibrium. Static meaning unmoving. But yeah, if you're that far behind, you need to take risks. But in a situation like that, that's the only other time. So zoning an offlane or doing that. You want to push a creep wave, which means break your lane equilibrium by autoing down a creep wave or doing whatever. You want to do that. Oh, that's a dead Storm Spirit. This Storm is the worst game of his life, and I love it. Fuck Storm Spirits. So the reasons you want to push a creep wave are two or three. We'll see as I list them. 1, the offlaner or offlaners are able to sit in experience range the whole time. There is no incentive for you to maintain equilibrium because you are not preventing them from creeping or getting experience. So you don't have to worry about maintaining equilibrium. It's not something you should worry about. You should more focus on denying and getting your last hits. And then if you have the ability to push it really hard against them, then it also opens up the capacity for you to jungle. But that is very, very hard to do, and not many heroes will be able to do that in like a 1v2 or a 2v2 or even a 3v2. Situation number 2, their offlaner has abandoned the lane. Their offlaner has abandoned the lane. He is jungling, and there is literally no one here. You want to start pushing it ASAP and putting pressure on this tower while utilizing these jungle camps if your hero is capable of doing it. And almost every single carry in Dota is capable of farming lane and jungle camps in the same minute. And that either forces someone to rotate there or gets you an early tower. Both are good for your team. And if you do that, you want to probably make sure that your hero has the ability to jungle, because losing this tier 1 tower can make it very hard for you to farm a lane if your hero is not capable. But there are very few heroes who can do that. Maybe only like a CK couldn't farm both. And the third situation is kind of what you saw here. We were successfully zoning out the Necro. We even got, I guess, 1 kill on him. I think we killed him there. I think that's the kill we got. Yeah, we dove him like over to here and we got a kill. After 5 minutes of successfully zoning him out. Maybe you want to relocate your support. Your support wants to play it more aggressive on the map. Like a Lion has incredible kill potential between his stun, his Hex, and his ult. So you don't want a Lion sitting with you for 12 minutes to zone out a Necrophos. So maybe after 4, 5, 6 minutes, he wants to rotate around. At that point, you know your lane equilibrium is going to break, so you just start pushing the creep wave out. And you accept that the offlaner is now going to start getting stuff. And then you start, once again, utilizing these two camps. The big part about not maintaining equilibrium, and I keep going to it, and I want to make sure it's thoroughly understood, is that when you break equilibrium, you want to be utilizing these two camps. Or these two camps. Either one. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're just getting 1 every minute, or 2 is obviously ideal. You want to farm a creep wave, go to a camp, farm the next creep wave, go to the other camp, everything respawns, and then you repeat the process. That's ideal. Like a Sven can easily do it with Cleave Max. Am can also do it, many other heroes can do it. And that's the other situation where you want to do it. And that also opens up your ability to maximize a lane for yourself. So after 5 minutes of maintaining equilibrium, hurting their offlaner substantially, you now want to maximize your lane where you're farming out as much as humanly possible. And you accept that that means that you're trading their offlane now getting more than they were previously, but still way less than you, and then ideally you'll be getting more than their safe laner too, unless their safe laner is also doing the same thing as you. Then it just comes down to who's more efficient and whose hero is better at it. Alright, just for a quick anecdotal story, I had this game where there was this Juggernaut, had the freest lane of his life, and all he did for 15 minutes was hold equilibrium right here and last hit. We lost that game with their tier 1 still up with like 80% of its HP. The Jug had absolute free farm, but didn't create any pressure here, so we were in a constant 4v5. And he didn't get anywhere near enough as he should have for that 4v5, and we never got the tier 1 tower. So I think that pretty much covers all the reasons why you'd want to maintain creepy equilibrium and when to break it. I hope that clarifies things. I can't really think of many other situations that would pop up for other reasons why you might want to break it or maintain it, but that covers pretty much the basics. So you need to ask yourself when you're in a game. That Kunkka just pulled its Storm Spirit back. Whatever. So when you're in a game, you need to ask yourself, like, what is my objective here? So the first thing you should ask yourself, can my supports zone the offlaner? Can we together zone an offlaner? If the answer is yes, then maintain creep equilibrium. Would your support be you? And then after 5 minutes of that, you can ask yourself, can my support be used elsewhere? And would him leaving affect my ability to lane? If the answer is no, then you break equilibrium, you start farming out the jungle, and your support rotates elsewhere. That's pretty much it. What you just need to assess the situation and decide what the best course of action is. I kind of explained all of those in the video. So I hope that helps when you're looking at these situations, and being able to master knowing when to break it and how to farm these efficiently will make you a completely different carry player. Like, you know those carries you see get like 10 CS a minute by like 10 minutes, 12 minutes? Those people know how to do this perfectly. Anyway, any comments, feedback, everything, I'm more than welcome. Feel free to submit replays for analysis, all that jazz, and I hope the video was helpful.